Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Skyward. I'm Lanayru U, and today we're going to be going to the sword dungeon in the game. Oh yeah! This is the Lanayru Mining Facility. This dungeon is pretty much like a desert-themed dungeon, sort of like the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time or whatever. And I'm just gonna say this right now, this dungeon, even though the item in this dungeon is one of my favorite items in the game, and actually one of my more favorite items in the Zelda series as a whole, and um, and I really love the boss of this dungeon. This is actually one of my least favorite dungeons in the entire game. Um, I'm going to be getting into why this is this. I'm going to be getting into why later on over the next couple of videos, because this dungeon is going to take multiple videos to complete. But I'm just gonna save that for later. But right now, I'm gonna talk about something that I've yet to talk about. There's actually another strategy to defeat these guys. There's actually a lot of strategies for the different enemies that I've neglected to talk about. Like with the Endless enemies, you can throw bombs at them to defeat them quicker, but I'm just too lazy to do that. Those enemies, the weird frog enemies, you can throw bombs at them rather than using a Skyward Strike. I prefer using the Skyward Strike to defeat them because I just prefer to save my bombs for other stuff like blowing up walls for secrets and stuff like that. Um, the, so what we want to do is I want to activate this switch so that we can open a door, so we can run across the sand, run like the wind. And it's like, here's a red ruby. It's very red. That's why it's called the Red Ruby. This dungeon is actually quite large. This is one of the larger dungeons so far. It's very easy to get lost in this dungeon, and that might actually be one of the reasons why this isn't one of my favorite dungeons in the game. Um, but um, but this dungeon, I would never say that I outright hate this dungeon. Um, I would never say that I outright hate this dungeon, because it is really cool, and like I said earlier, I really like the item in this dungeon, and the boss is really cool. But but something that I've noticed when I was planning out this Let's Play, because when I was planning out this Let's Play, one of the biggest things I was focusing on was trying to figure out why exactly everybody hates this game. Um, because this is my third favorite Zelda game, and my goal with this Let's Play is to try to convince the Zelda fanbase to give this game a second chance. So one of the biggest things I was focusing on was trying to figure out why exactly everybody hated this game so much. And what I noticed was that people on Miiverse, at least the people I talked to on Miiverse, have told me that it was around this time that they stopped playing the game, either around this time or another point that I'll be getting into later on in the game that I can't talk about because of spoilers. It was around this dungeon that people stopped playing the game. So what I figured is that the game has a really slow start, and and while I really love the first two dungeons, this dungeon is really obnoxious. So what I believe is that people stopped playing the game around this time because the story was just because it just wasn't because they just weren't really interested in this dungeon all that much. So I can totally understand why people stopped playing this game around the time. I mean, I would have if if I didn't love the controls for the swordplay all that much. But that's just what I figured with the people I talked to on Miiverse as to why they didn't like this game all that much. Something that I'm pretty sure that at least some of my viewers are curious about is what my least favorite Zelda game is. What my least Zelda game is, because like I've said before, Skyward Sword is considered the worst 3D Zelda game, and I don't believe this at all because this is my third favorite Zelda game. My least favorite Zelda game is actually For Sword. And the really funny thing is that was the first Zelda game I ever did a Let's Play of. The reason why For Sword is my least favorite Zelda game is because it is a lot more linear than this one. The game is level based, and it's just outright kind of boring. I apologize if my viewers like that game, but when I was really upbeat and pretty excited when I was actually doing that Let's Play. The more I've been playing it over the past couple of years, the more I realized that I that that's really not my favorite Zelda game like at all. It's sort of my least favorite Zelda game. So now that I've shared what my personal least favorite Zelda game is, I'm going to talk about something that's also Zelda related because this is a Zelda video and we talk about Zelda stuff here. As Numa a couple weeks ago had announced that Zelda U, for those of you confused as to what I talk about when I'm talking about Zelda U, I'm talking about the new game for the Wii U, um, because there was somebody who commented on the video who seemed a little bit confused because Hyrule Warriors was released last year, and I guess they thought that I was talking about Hyrule Warriors, but no. When I talk about Zelda U, I'm talking about the new game for the Wii U that looks super awesome and stuff because the world is huge and the art style is beautiful and it's awesome. Um, but anyway, Zelda U. As Numa had announced that the game is being delayed. He didn't outright say that it is being delayed, but something that he said was that Nintendo is no longer aiming to release the game in 2015 because they saw just how much they could do with it. They saw the potential that they have in this game. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on Zelda U being delayed. I am actually perfectly fine with this because they really do need the extra time to make this like the best possible Zelda game they can make. They've talked about all these different ideas that they have for the game, like making it so that you can go into dungeons in any order, or the possibility of multiplayer. And one of the biggest things that really impressed me was one area in the game is going to be equivalent to the size of Twilight Princess, and Twilight Princess had a huge overworld. So I think that they definitely need the extra development time to make this the best possible Zelda game they can make. And a big reason why I say that is because I don't want them to have a repeat of Twilight Princess. And when I say that, I'm not saying Twilight Princess is at all a bad game. That game is awesome. But one of my biggest problems with that game is that while the overworld is huge, there really wasn't much to do in it. There were collectibles and stuff like the heart pieces and the different bugs that you got for Agatha, who for whatever reason is in Hyrule Warriors, but that's a subject for a different time. But Twilight Princess, if I did have a huge overworld, there wasn't much to do in it. So I don't want a repeat of that in the new game where I don't want a repeat of that. I want it to be more Xenoblade-like, where there's a lot of side quests that you can take care of. That if you play through the game normally and pick up side quests as you see them, you can take care of a bunch of side quests like that. But I just really hope that there's actually stuff to do in the overworld. And they've talked about how this is such a huge game, and I could definitely see why they need the extra development time to finish the game. That's not to say that I'm sad that the game. I'm not saying that I'm absolutely happy the game's delayed. I'm actually kind of bummed that it is, because Zelda U was the big game this year that I was really looking forward to. Because let's face it, I'm a huge Zelda fan, and Zelda U looks amazing. But another thing that really makes me happy, well, not really happy, but another thing that makes me not that upset that Zelda U is being delayed is the fact that Xenoblade Chronicles X is most likely going to be coming out at the end of the year, and that overworld is really huge. Like, they've talked about how completing the game 100% with side quests and all took about 300 hours to complete, and the overworld of the game is about 5 times larger than Xenoblade on the Wii. That is really impressive. So that is the reason why I'm glad that Zelda U is not being released around the same time as Xenoblade Chronicles X, because if it was, I would have absolutely no life for a couple of years because playing both Xenoblade X and Zelda U, with two games that have absolutely huge overworlds, I think it's for the best that one of those games was released a little while after the other one, so that fans of both franchises like myself could have the proper time to really appreciate both games. So enough about Zelda U being delayed. There's an enemy right here. This is actually one of my more favorite enemies in the game because they are really fun to fight. They're like a stack of towers. A stack of towers. What was I? Whatever. It's like a stack of towers or whatever, for lack of a better term. And there are these blue circly thingies around them. You have to swing your sword to the side to attack them, and then you have to poke them in the eyeball. And it's just really fun to fight those things. My sister Quarterglake also very likes those, simply because of the fact that you poke them in the eye. I can understand why some people don't like those enemies, because there's a lot of people out there who just outright hate motion controls. But I'm not one of those people. I love motion controls. That's a huge reason why this is one of my favorite Zelda games ever. But yeah, those enemies are really fun to fight. And also those puffer fists that explode, those are also really fun to fight too. And while they can get annoying later on, I do like those enemies. And now it's time to get the item of the dungeon, without even fighting a mini-boss. It is the Gust Bellows. Anybody who's played Super Smash Bros. For Wii U or 3DS should recognize this item. In Smash Brothers, what it did was that you could blow, you can like blow enemies, you could blow your opponents off the stage. In this game, it's pretty much the opposite of the Poltergeist from the Luigi's Mansion series, where you can blow stuff away, and it's super cool. You can like dust things and blow enemies away, like in Smash Brothers. And while it may seem lame that you're pretty much using a vacuum, this item is really useful for other side quests like things and stuff. Inside here is another thing that we can go collect, is a bird feather, goddess plume, whatever. The goddess plumes actually appear randomly, if I remember correctly. They were going to appear randomly in treasure chests, and I know this for a fact because when I was practicing for this dungeon, I did not get a goddess plume in there. I don't remember exactly what I did get. I think it was an amber relic, but the goddess plume will appear randomly, and they are somewhat rare to collect. They're not absolutely rare like the shiny Pokemon from the older Pokemon games, but the goddess plumes are pretty rare to collect. So I'm really glad that I was able to get one on camera. And as usual, whenever we get a new material, I'm gonna post in the description all the places you can go find them. Unless of course I got a goddess plume in the previous video and I just forgot about it until now. But anyway, the scorpion enemies are here, just like the Skulltulas in most of the other 3D Zelda games. They're gonna be climbing out around the walls. And let me just say, these scorpion enemies, they're really adorable in this game. But in real life, I am absolutely terrified of scorpions. Like, scorpions are one of the few bugs that I'm legitimately terrified of, because I'm not usually afraid of spiders or enemies like that, or bugs like that, but I'm absolutely terrified of scorpions. And now that I've talked about that, I'm going to end this video off here, so thank you guys for watching this video, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I'm going to end this video in the most epic way ever, by blowing away dust, and until next time, let's get to you. Oh yeah. Scorpions are scary.